Meteorologist Tuttle here. For years, I've been recommending Ferguson Roof Systems to homeowners across Oklahoma. So when Mother Nature struck my house, it was an easy call to make. There's no one I would trust more than Ferguson Roof Systems for my home's roof. Since 1977, Ferguson has led the industry with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and lifetime warranties. Plus, they'll even deal with the insurance companies so you don't have to. So when Mother Nature strikes, make your first call to Ferguson Roof Systems.
All right, we're back in business. Thanks for tuning in. Meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is about 9:35 here in the AT's live weather studios as we talk about another winter storm that is developing along with some bitterly cold air. So we've got some good stuff to talk about. So thanks for coming on by. Make sure you like and share the video. Tell your friends and family about AT's weather and subscribe to the platform that you're on. If you TikTokers are out there, it's not till the 19th. You still got some time to subscribe before they shut it down. Don't worry, I don't think they'll shut it down. There's no way. It's a gold mine. You don't bite the hand that feeds you. And TikTok feeds politicians left and right with all of your eyeballs. So I wouldn't worry about it. Don't stress out. Anyway, so we're going to talk about how cold temperatures look to be coming in here for our weekend, and also how much snow we may be getting here out of this storm system, and if we're going to get any ice, and we'll detail all that stuff here for you. So thanks for tuning in out there on the TikTok world, also on Instagram Live, and Facebook, and Rumble, and YouTube, and Twitter X. All right, well, let's get on down to business, shall we? Let's just jump right into the maps. By the way, little shout out here, you guys on YouTube. Minoki, I see you. Nancy, good to see you. You guys are always, it's like the same group all the time. Jim's in the house, so you guys got a nice little community over there. I always like to see you guys leaving all your comments and talking with one another and sharing the good stuff. And of course on Facebook, I gave you some shout out at lunchtime today, and I do that when I can. But let's go ahead into the maps here for right now. And we still have a lot more cold air to come. Overall, I mean, it's a cold pattern they're going to be locked into. So right here, this is Siberia, and this is where our first round is coming in for this weekend. This is another round that's already developing and building. In other words, it doesn't really warm up over there. We just get chunks of this that break off and come north. So they're still into the minus 50s as far as actual air temperatures. Could you imagine living in an environment where it's minus 50 outside? I can't. I don't, and I won't. So let's take a look at the jet stream pattern. Look at the European midday run here for this one. So put this into motion for you. So again, we watch where the bright colors are as we get lift into the atmosphere, where you can get some storm systems. So if you do notice, there's been some lift that does kind of skirt through. So here, for example, is Friday. So this little stuff right here that seems to want to come on in. Now we have a cold front coming at that point in time. So that accompanied with the front usually would try to generate some showers. However, the temperature and dew point are pretty far apart from one another, so in other words, it's pretty dry in the atmosphere, so it's going to be hard to get some rainfall. Now, once it gets kind of east, maybe southeast Oklahoma, northeast Texas, Arkansas, you'll probably get at least a little bit of light rain out of that. Otherwise, we'll wait for the next storm system. And let's see here. There's one right there. That's for Saturday. So we'll probably have, of course, our cold air in place by that point in time. So we'll likely have a saturation, and there we are, mid-levels of the atmosphere. So the profile indicates snow, so that would be what would be falling from the sky. That's coming up on Saturday, so that's our little deal there. And then after that one, that's when things will get interesting, because every model has a little different approach as to how this thing is going to evolve. But let's take a look here. So this is on Tuesday morning. So a big long wave trough. Big long wave trough. So for example, this is the jet stream. It comes in like this, follows these little lines. Okay, it's one big wave. All right, you got a ridge of high pressure developing out here, trough of low pressure developing out here. So it's in between the squeeze. And what you end up getting out of this low is this little trough axis that runs through like this. That's a very long wave. That's not a short wave. That's almost a long wave, a Rossby long wave. So indicative of some big pattern changes, big cold air outbreaks, etc., and a big weather change. Well, usually they don't come out that long. They break apart somewhere in the middle. And so that's what happened. This one was going to break off and try to form an upper level low. So if you come to the next couple of frames, this little piece zips on by, and this starts to kind of cut off back here and then get into those closed lows. And then once that happens, they typically eventually work their way across. Now, of course, when that happens, it depends. It needs a little bit of a kicker or its own initial inertia to get that way. And this is on Tuesday. So one piece breaks through on Monday to Tuesday, and then the next one here holds back to maybe Wednesday or Thursday, maybe even Friday. That's the million-dollar question as to when does that one come out. This is, again, a developing storm system, but it will produce some more wintry precipitation if we look at that. So, for example, if I were to look at different models to see how it's set up over here, again, I'll put the low. Again, this is our next bigger storm system that would be affecting a lot of people. So there is the European for the AI version already kicking it out on Tuesday. So it does not hang the low back, right? Okay, so now let's go to the Canadian. The Canadian's up here. Similar idea, but this got a little more of a funky look to it. The American model, I don't know what it did. It just took the low way out here. It just zipped it through and didn't do anything. This is something else. Let's see. Its version of AI says, okay, let's put it down here for Tuesday. The Icon model, kind of like the European, is back in here. And the UK Met just zips it through. So your take home here, this is my take home, is a lot of uncertainty, and this all has to get worked out. In reality, it'll probably all congeal, to the middle of the approach somewhere in here, and it'll still come through. And as it does, it's going to produce wintry precipitation across the deep southern plains. Okay, so let's see what that looks like here, at least on the short term, going through our weekend. This is the European model. So the front will come in on Friday. There's those showers starting to bubble up there. Just showed you where you finally get some moisture in there for Friday afternoon and evening. All right, and the front's, of course, moving through Oklahoma, and then we'll have that little shortwave upper levels come through. So here's Saturday. You can barely see it. Little hint of some snow here across Kansas and the panhandle of Oklahoma and Texas, and also some around the body of the state. All right, so that's on Saturday. Then that kind of moves on out. Now the high pressure will continue to build in here at the surface. So this is our high at the surface, not in the upper levels, but down where we live and breathe. And the influence of this high looks like it's something like this. That is a big high. In other words, that is coming in all the way down to Mexico. So it's going to end up being about a 1060 millibar high. Some of the stronger highs we see in the record books, etc., are right around 1070. So we're pretty close. We're not a record, but we're up there as one of the stronger ones that you'll get that produces this type of cold weather. Now, as we head into Sunday late into Monday, our next storm system is already trying to take shape, and that is where that snow will be developing here for the secondary wave. So kind of a two waves. And as we head into late Monday into Tuesday, you do look at new development down here in Texas, off the coast as well, some rainfall, and that expands a bit more as we head into Tuesday itself. So there you go, little storm, little winter storm for the Lone Star State. See a lot of red here on the map? You know what that means, don't you? That's some ice, baby. Let's see, we'll go on here a little bit more than that. Southeastern part of the country now getting the action along the upper Gulf Coast states, and then across the eastern coast as we head into Tuesday night. This will be a winter storm maker in this region after it affects this region. And then again, we'll see what happens to that next piece that's back here as it kicks thin, because it should also produce some precipitation once it gets moving. So we'll see what happens for the middle of next week. That's kind of like a sneak peek of what's happening. And if I were to give you a close-up view, because I'm going to show you when it looks like that front will come through based off the latest high-resolution data, and we'll see how warm we can get on Friday out ahead of it. Earlier data at one point had us in the 60s, and I was like, yeah, it's leery to think that front's got to come in a little earlier, but we'll see. Let's see. So here's Friday, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So the front's already through. So let's do it this way. Let's show you the temperatures and the wind barbs. Give you a little better time of arrival. So here we go. So there's that red equals some warm weather kind of sneak on in here. Ahead of that front. And this is the leading edge, so it's not the coldest of the cold, but it's getting there. So looks like it moves through Tulsa and Oklahoma City right around 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. It comes through Oklahoma City, and about an hour after that for Tulsa, and then zips on through the state. We start to cool down. We see the blue, we're back into the 20s. So we're going to go from, looks like a high on Friday. We've got upper 60s down here in far southwest Oklahoma. There's a 7 on the Red River. Otherwise, looks like most of the state looks like 50s, 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 50s. So I can buy 50s. I don't think that's out of the ordinary. All right, let's take a look here at the big picture. Let's find out about that cold air I mentioned. So we're going to track it. So this first piece that we talked about has already broken off in this map. It shows right here. See this little white contour here in the purple? That's the little high that broke off from Siberia. It's actually working through Alaska. And this was going to come on down like this. So watch as I put this in motion. And then, of course, the brighter the white here, the colder the temperature. So obviously there's more up here that still stays. Here's Greenland. It's nice and cold too. But yeah, so let's see what happens here. I put this in motion. You can watch this stuff spiral around right here. And here you go. You can see how quickly it just comes south into the United States. And this goes onward all the way through January. So you can see the cold pattern just stays with us. So let me end it here, go to the last frame. So cold pattern has got almost the entire country now frozen, with the exception of Florida. And it still has a lot more of this cold weather, cold temperatures that can come south at any time, given a little nudge. So it may be a cold overall look to the rest of January and February, with just some swings here and there, where temperatures won't be as bad. Okay, so let's look at the Canadian model. So I'm going to use here for this forecast. I'm going to lean heavily on this until I see otherwise. Okay, so our temperatures on Saturday, we're dropping into the 20s and 30s on Saturday as that colder air filters in. So by the time we head into Sunday morning, we're down here into the teens. You can see temperatures up here in Canada in the negative 20s and negative 30s. That's not a wind chill, it's an actual air temperature. And then they get down around below zero once you get to Colorado. All right, so Sunday afternoon, we're to the teens and 20s across Oklahoma. And points north, it does get progressively colder. As we head into Monday morning, we're back into the single digits across Oklahoma. You got some negative 20s and negative 30s across Canada. Looks like negative teens up here across in North and South Dakota. And then back here on the eastern slopes of the Rockies, north of Colorado, you've got some minus teens and minus 20. So obviously some very cold temperatures. All right, so Monday we're staying into the, looks like teens across Oklahoma. So that will be our coldest day overall, it would appear, compared to our weekend, as that colder really settles in. We do have another kind of a push that comes in. So there's Tuesday morning. We're back into the single digits again. Look at these temperatures up here. Ooh, minus 53 for a low. Get out of here. Oh my goodness. We do not want that. Let's see. For midday Tuesday, 9 degrees and 8 degrees. So the Canadian's going even colder on Tuesday than it is for Monday, as that last ditch hurrah stays in here. And then for Wednesday morning, looks like a lot of negative teens settling in up here across the nation's midsection. You get a little downslope and some warming up here as the Arctic area erodes and moves away, because it's now obviously positioned elsewhere across the country. Look at these numbers. They're way down here to Mexico. You got some teens in Mexico? That's ridiculous. I don't know if that's going to verify, but oof, that looks cold. All right, let's go forward in time. Let's go to Wednesday afternoon. Canadian miles keeping us cold with teens. Thursday, it's got single digits, and then finally, it's got us into the, looks like 20s to low 30s here across Oklahoma and Texas. But you can see how that Arctic air is just hard to erode. It stays entrenched. So western Texas gets to warm up, but it's hard to mix out Arctic air. It's very dense and it doesn't like to mix. So it usually sticks around longer than what the models think. But anyway, so the rest of next week, again, we'll see. Some of these temperatures will depend upon the storm track and how things do evolve in the upper levels. But you can see at the end here of our period, around the 25th of the month, you still got a lot of cold air up here that can easily slip back in to the region. So keep the coats handy. Like we talked about here on the close-up view, we'll zip through here for you. Again, on Saturday, there you go. We got lots of teens out there for you for the afternoon. So obviously a very cold Saturday coming up. And then on Sunday, we're into the, well, if you believe this model, we're at minus 3 degrees. Oh, excuse me, that's a wind chill. Sorry, I'm on the wind chill map. So I was like, wait a minute, this is colder than the map I just looked at. So something's not right. I either had the wrong time or I got the wrong data set. So yeah, we're looking at wind chills right now, which I need to talk about because that is very important. So wind chill values on Saturday into the teens. There we go. And then back below zero for Sunday in the morning hours. They rebound a little bit for the afternoon. There's our teens. And then our wind chill values are back below zero for Monday in the morning. A little bit better in the afternoon, not by much. Wind chill of 0 in Oklahoma City. All right, let's go to Tuesday. Again, wind chill values below 0. Some of these are around feels like minus 18 out there. This is what it feels like to exposed human skin, by the way, and of course your pets. Let's go to the Tuesday afternoon. Wind chill values, again, below 0. So again, Tuesday's our coldest day overall, both on temperature and wind chill, looks like. Wednesday, repeat, and then there we start to rebound a little bit for Wednesday afternoon, and it's not so bad after that. Thursday morning cold, but then the afternoon looking better, and after that, not much. Okay, so there you go. So there's a look at your temperatures and your wind chill. Now, what about snowfall? If we look at the blended version of the ensemble charts, so for the different models, this is the Canadian. What we're going to look at is, do they produce snow, number 1, 2, about where is it going to happen, and then 3, how much, right? So it looks like they favor 2 camps for snow. So one is this camp up here, and the next one is here. This is on the Canadian model. So it does have snow, but it also has snow everywhere else. All right, that's just where it has the higher cluster of snow, in other words, the higher totals. So it does favor the Red River down south into central Texas, then points to the east, and then back up here to the Panhandles, and then up toward Colorado, which makes sense. Now, that's the Canadian. The European model, very similar. All right, now let's go to the American model. American model, actually similar, but a lot less snow overall. And then a no gaps, similar, but a lot less overall. So at least the good news is all of these ensembles say yes for snow, and they all break it down into 2 main areas. Now the question is how much? Well, we can look at the operational runs, and these operational deterministic models, they will have some wild swings with them, and when they're this far out, they're not to be trusted, but it gives us an idea what the trend is. All right, so that's really what I want to focus on. So right now, here's the European model. This goes out through Tuesday afternoon. So through Tuesday afternoon, for those 1 and 2 punch systems, it's got about 2 inches of snow here in Oklahoma City, up to around half a foot by the time you get to the Panhandle, Texas and Oklahoma, just north of Amarillo, and then back into southwest Kansas, and of course, skiers are going to love it, Colorado and New Mexico. And then down here in Dallas, it's got about an inch of snow. It stretches on to Bryan College Station, home of my fighting Texas Aggies. How much snow does it give you guys down there in Aggie land? Look at that, about 3 inches of snow. Boy, that'd be crazy. Those guys in there go crazy. Anyway, you got 7 inches of snow east of there, towards Shreveport, south of Shreveport, some good snows in Louisiana. All right, so the Canadian model, what does it do? All right, well, it shifts that big batch of snow up to the north. It says, sorry, Aggies, you don't get anything. Kind of like your football season. And then up here to the north in Oklahoma City, it's got 6.5 inches of snow. We're going up to another 9 to 10 inch lovers around Dallas-Fort Worth. Everybody remember this one? This is about a week ago over here to Arkansas. So the Canadians trying to give you a repeat performance. I'm not going to buy that, but we'll see. The American model says, you know what? None of you can get any snow. The German model says, let's go back to reality. Let's give somebody some snow. So dusting of snow to some light accumulations here across most of Oklahoma, and then up here a little bit of better accumulations in that region. And then back down here in Texas, just south of Dallas, central Texas on south and east. A good batch of snow here, several inches. And the UK Met, basically a dusting in south, and then better snows in Kansas and out west. Okay, now we are going to have a little bit of ice with this system as well. If you look at the Canadian alone, it favors deep south Texas. If you look at the European model, it brings that a little bit more to the north. So definitely the southern third of the Lone Star State. It might be the southern half. It might be a little gray line here in the sand of a mixture in this area. Otherwise, some decent amounts. The models are not going light. They're going at least 1/4 of an inch, in some cases higher than that. If you blend the models, in other words, we take some of the ones that said no ice and some that said some ice, and you mix them all together, you get a very conservative low approach where they got about 1/10 of an inch or less over a very large area. So this would be a good take home as far as the region that we're looking at. But for the actual amount, we'll probably have to lean higher toward the European or the Canadian. And we give them with time. These will come around and they'll show better, decent estimates as we get to that ballpark. But ice accumulations on the models, just so you know, are usually not that great. which the snowfall amounts aren't that great either, but the ice usually are worse, just because there's just so many things that can go wrong in those measurements. Okay, so temperatures. Like I said, we're not going to be very cold, not very very warm. Friday, if we're lucky, we'll hit this. I don't think so. I think we'll probably be in the upper 50s, but it's just a couple degrees difference. You won't notice it. But the front comes in, like we said, on Friday afternoon here in Oklahoma City in the evening hours, and that'll drop us down. So then we'll spend most of Saturday into the probably the 20s to low 30s. The bulk of the day, this would be like a midnight temperature kind of a deal. So you won't be seeing that warmth during the day, so it'll be below that. So basically into the 20s and 30s and dropping down into the teens. So for Sunday, we'll probably spend the day into the teens. I really don't think there's no way we're going to hit 29. We might get full sun. If that's the case, that would help to offset it, but I don't think it'll be the upper 20s. If that's the case, I'm thinking low to mid 20s at most. You might squeeze out some snow flurries even with the sun on Sunday, because cold air is very dry and it can squeeze out that moisture in the form of these little crystal structures. But we do have the other round of snow that comes in for Sunday night and Monday. And what happens if that snow blanket does come in with the cloud cover? We'll never hit 24, so forget that. And we'll be into the teens for sure. If that comes in too early, which looks like it will, that will actually prevent morning temperatures from getting into the single digits, because that cloud acts like a blanket, believe it or not, to trap whatever radiational heat was in the ground, and that keeps you a little bit warmer at night. So the clouds can keep you colder during the day for these Arctic air, but they can keep you warmer at night. And then Tuesday, again, this is all a model blend, so be very conservative. I looked at the Canadian earlier, which had these numbers much colder in the extended, and then this is all up in the air. Depends on what happens with everything else. So just prepare to see these numbers going up and down in your extended outlook. We're having a tough time as it is just getting these right. Again, I think the models are too warm. They had gone much colder, then they all kind of chickened out. They all started backing off. The Canadian has not. It's still going cold, so we'll see how all that goes. So that's kind of the version here of what's happening with this developing situation with the cold air and the snow and ice that may be forming here as the upper levels get more organized. Let me see if anything came in this evening. Let's see. That one did, but probably not going to be ready in time. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pull up a couple of these that we talked about the other day about basically what do you prepare for, right? And this is the other thing I want to talk about. The snow that does come in, we talk about snow ratios. If you don't know what a snow ratio is basically when you kind of factor in a moisture equivalent, like rainfall, for example. So when it comes to snow ratios, we can use, if it's a dry snow, it's more what we call a 15-to-1 ratio, which means that it's very airy. It happens when your temperature is much colder. So, for example, temperatures in the teens, because typically our dew points are into the single digits or even lower. Very easy to shovel. It's very light, very powdery, blows away, wisps right off the roadways. You'd have to have a lot of snow to accumulate, or find some places to kind of block the wind to let it stick. But you really can't build a snowman too easy in this kind of stuff. So it's not exactly snowman material. But that's what we're going to be getting here for most of these events here for this particular deal. I can show you, like here's a rule of thumb, for example, for snow ratios where you can have, 10 or 15 to 1, you're in the 20s to around 30. If it's 20 to 1 or 25 to 1, they experience this in other parts of the country because where your temperatures are much colder, like up north. So it's just easier to manage in those cases. But let's say you are on the roadways here, you're going to deal with that. You need to winterize your car. And I had a better graphic here. I'll show this one. Let's do this one here. Okay. This is good to have all winter long, but just another reminder since we, getting close, and we need to be talking about this one. So cell phone chargers, obviously, a little bit of water and snacks. Mittens, hats, boots, warm clothes, flashlight. Of course, that's on your phone. First aid kit, jumper cables. Again, use those little portable lithium-ion battery chargers you can do. They can jumpstart your car by themselves and charge your own computer and other devices. So I'd get one of those, about $100. You can get them on Amazon, next day delivery. Probably get it in the morning when you wake up. Spare tire, flares, hardcore. Full tank of gas. Don't run around on half empty or near empty during the winter time. Old school, traditional. Whether it happens in modern vehicles now or not, but back in the day, there was always the rumors that your lines could freeze. If it was bitterly cold. Let's see, sand or kitty litter, tow rope, blankets, snow shovel, and brush. Just some standard typical stuff that you would typically expect to have to use at some point in the wintertime. When you're talking about dressing for this kind of a cold, you're definitely going to be either in this category or in this category. But that's multiple layers to keep you nice and toasty. Face mask, warm hat for the kids, boots, water gloves, layers, like we mentioned. Like I said, wind chill is a big factor. It's going to make it feel colder than it actually is. And if we get some wind chill values in the negative numbers, obviously that's a problem. So don't forget your pets. Keep them warm and dry. Provide plenty of food and water. If you're going to have them outside, this ain't the 1980s. Our pets are little people now, so you're going to have to treat them like little people. And that means don't leave them out there to die. It's a different era. Provide a warm shelter. Bring them inside if you can. If you're going to start your car, make some noise. Maybe bang on the hood in case there's a cat under there trying to stay warm. Check their paws, that kind of deal. Recognize signs of trouble, just like in humans. Whining, shivering, anxious. For hypothermia. Let's see. I did have a hypothermia graphic also for humans. I'm going to pull that up here in a second. Let's see. Where is that one at? I think it was back on this other page. Let me do this one. Yeah, there we go. Confusion, shivering, difficulty speaking, sleeplessness, that kind of deal. Let's see. This will move pretty fast. Let's see. Let's go. How about this one? Let's see what else they had on here. Extreme cold. Obviously, newborns are vulnerable. Elderly. They need to turn this flash thing off. Who still does web pages with flash that automatically animate and you can't stop them? Who designed this code? Government. Hey, weather service employee who designed this. This was probably done like 20 years ago, back when they actually used Java and Flash and all this other stuff that does things you don't want it to do. Chronic illness, let's do this. Oh, I can't do it because they do. Oh, it's lame. All right, I can't stop the image from animating. That was really horrible design. Who did that? Anyway, drink warm water. Check on your friends, family, your pets, all that kind of stuff. So it's no joke, this cold weather. It will linger at least for a while. If you do get, as I mentioned, temperatures that are right about 17 degrees for 24 hours, you can get water main breaks in the city lines. So look out for that for Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, if it does end up getting very cold and staying that way. And for your own home, obviously you want to leave the cabinets open. You're going to leave your water running. A little pencil stream is what they call it, like a little tip of a pencil. So that's more than the drip drip, especially if you're prone to having your lines freeze. I'm not prone to having our lines freeze, and we froze last year. Believe it or not, about the same time of the year. There was about a 4-day stretch that was really cold, and we had temperatures around 1 degrees in Oklahoma City for 2 mornings in a row. And that was enough to freeze up a section that was actually up in the attic. It was in between some sheetrock I think it was on a bend. I wouldn't know, I couldn't get access to it, so I didn't even know where it was actually frozen at until it finally busted. And that's what's like, oh, so that's where that was frozen. No wonder I couldn't get to it. But luckily it didn't bust the pipe. The ice dam broke free from the pressure because we had left the water lines on. Trying to get the drip because it was dripping in the night before. Then all of a sudden it was not dripping when we woke up in the morning. It was like, uh-oh, I guess that drip wasn't enough. So we should have done the trickle. So learn from my mistake. Don't do the drip, do a trickle. And especially when you get that cold into the single digits, I think that's when things really go downhill pretty quick in your homes. Even if you do have some decent insulation. So at least that was in my case. And I've lived here since 2005, and that's the first time my lines have ever frozen. I haven't changed anything, so it was just one of those things. It finally got me. Let's see. For situations where you need water, and something like that happens, you can fill up your bathtub with water ahead of time. You can get some extra gallon jugs from the store. That way you can at least have some drinking water. You can have some bathing water, that kind of deal. Or to take a shower. If you don't have the water, you got to take a shower somewhere, right? So that's a problem. So you need to figure that out. Either neighbors, relatives, or the gym, something like that. Might want to do that. Let's see. What else? I'm trying to think of anything I can think off the top of my head. Oh, if you have a situation where you do need your heat to work to prevent your pipes from freezing, go to my website, aarontuttle.com, and go check on my sponsor, Pronto Heating and Air. They're awesome people over there. Got awesome reviews on Google. But anyway, some information on here you can check out. Family owned, etc. They've been throwing this little deal here. If you call them and mention me, they'll give you a little special that they'll offer for you. But they'll get your heating tuned up, ready to go for the cold spell that's coming. And if you have a situation where power outages are a problem, and I do know that power can go out, it is a drain, or not drain's not the right word, but it is my brain's not working, a stress on the transformer load. You can lose some power in those situations. Now, I don't know what the magic criteria is. I'm not the OG&E expert, line guy. But I do know it is possible. But if that's a concern, and you want to keep power during the winter storm so you stay warm, you can get a Generac. Call up my buddy Nathan Snyder Electric. Again, also my website, aarontuttle.com, and you can find all about his company. Again, great reviews. Anytime I mention these guys, everybody chimes in the comments and says, "Oh, I've had one put in for me, and they were awesome." So I don't recommend anybody who's not awesome, because my name's associated with it, and I only like good people. I don't like bad people. So if there's a bad person, they're far away from me. I don't want anything to do with them. So that's if you ever having trouble with anybody, that I recommend, that I talk about, give me a shout, because I will set them straight and I will kick them to the curb instantly. I have zero tolerance for bad people. Zero. I can't stress that enough. There's enough turds out there in the world. I don't want to be associated with a single one of them. I'm turd-free zone. Anyway, all right. Well, listen, that's it for me. Appreciate you guys tuning in tonight, and we'll probably do another live over the weekend. Lunchtime tomorrow, I'll be busy. In the evening, maybe, I don't know. We'll see. It has to be some significant changes, and then on Saturday and Sunday, obviously, I'll probably do a live at some point, or at least make some posts so you guys are updated on the latest. But especially if the winter storm develops and is a little stronger, for example. Or if the atmosphere tends to want to be a little colder, etc. So anything that's going to create a more drastic change, I'll definitely let you know about. And I was going to look at let's see, which model came in real quick. Okay. All right. Just real quick, I was looking at the American model. So it had just come in, and this is for Monday. So it still doesn't have a cutoff system on the back end. It just keeps this one big polar vortex, which you're going to hear that a lot. So polar vortex, basically a double low up here, but basically dips into the country and pulls the whole jet stream down here with it. But a lot of times you get a piece that breaks off in the back end, and this one's not doing it. This is a different piece that comes in underneath the ridge up here. So we'll see what happens if it tends to trend that direction. But right now it's nothing like the other models. Let me see what the latest Canadian is. It's only out to 72 hours. Yeah, so that's not out far enough yet. So, yep. Okay, still cold though. Matter of fact, let me see what it did do there. Since I'm here. Sensuous. Hold that thought. Let's go here. Alright, so for Saturday afternoon, wind chill 12, actual air temperature of 25. Okay, so the new Canadian is not changing. It's not budging. Let's put it this way. It is consistent. It is not budging. It is not waffling, where all the other ones are waffling all over the place. So we shall see. Okay, now I'm out of here. You guys have a great rest of your night. Again, thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you on the next broadcast. Take care.